Hello, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, and we are continuing our series of chats and discussions with the legendary Sandy Campbell, accompanist of Broadway, and one of my dear friends and one of my favorite people. So welcome back, Sandy. Last time we spoke, we were talking about Cheetah and Gwen and Liza and Bernadette and various stars, and I understand you have a Katharine Hepburn story to share with us.
Well, yeah, actually, I did all the auditions for Coco, and I did all the rehearsals for Coco, and I was in the pit for Coco, and I so I rehearsed Kate. Well, everybody, she insisted that we all call her Kate from the very beginning,
Yes.
and um, and she was totally available to us. Her door was not closed to us. Um,
And Coco was her only musical, right? I believe so.
well, it's the only one on Broadway. If
Right.
she did music someplace else, I don't know. I did I did see her doing movies, singing a little bit in movies. I can't remember which ones, but she seemed fine. By the time I knew her on Broadway, um, her voice was a little raspy, and it was clear when she was 20 years old. It was, more
Yes.
soprano.
Right.
I loved her voice. She was so comfortable with it, very comfortable with it. So so I rehearsed her all the time and explained stuff to her and showed her how to do stuff that had she just didn't, and she was totally willing to learn anything. She was a really smart lady, and she took very good care of herself. She left rehearsals every day at, I think it was, I can't remember. Maybe she came in late, but because she ran every day. She worked out every day, and in rehearsals, she would do like handstands. She'd stand on her head and make all the dancers try to outlast her, and they couldn't. She outlasted everybody. She could stand longer on her head than it was amazing. So she wanted everything to be cold, physically cold. That's a problem for dancers not wearing a lot of clothing and then sweating and then
Yes.
she wouldn't let us she wouldn't let them turn the heat up, but she brought them all sweaters. She bought sweaters for everybody in the show. Good sweaters that
I'm sure.
what you wore off stage. Of course, you had to wear the costume on stage. Um, and uh, what I found really fascinating was when at the photo call with her, she was on the stage. The set was a reproduction of the actual Coco Chanel house on Rue Cambon in Paris.
Wonderful.
Because I went there and I looked afterwards.
Cool.
But and that's it. And we had like Cormedel screens. They're famous screens.
Great.
Whatever.
I believe you. You're the Francophile here. I think it's awesome.
This I don't know. I'm not so smart. Um, and so what she did on the when she was photographing, getting the photo call, she just said, "Okay, just shoot away." And she got on the phone and she talked on the phone and she put the phone down and she moved things around. She changed her hair and she did everything as a perfectly natural person would do, not a person waiting for the camera.
Yes.
Waiting for the camera. You caught her or you didn't catch her. That's it. She was doing what she did.
Wonderful. I remember the interview where Jane Fonda was talking about working with her on the film on Golden Pond, and how Jane Fonda said she was so terrified of doing a backflip that it was just one of the things that always scared her, and she had never done it. And Kate Hepburn, who was considerably on in years at that time, said to her, "Oh, darling, there's nothing to a backflip," and just took her to the edge of the pool. And Kate, at her age, backflipped into the pool. And Jane just said, "I guess I got to do this," because she just did it. Like, wow. Yeah, and
I
there's
have Agnes DeMille story of doing a backflip. You want to hear that one?
we do.
Okay. So I finished with. I haven't told you everything about Kate, but I'll come back.
We'll get back. Yeah.
So, so I was doing rehearsals for Carousel. Oh, no, Carousel, in at Lincoln Center with Richard Rodgers was producing in the early 60s,
Yes.
and I was playing for the dancer rehearsals, uh, and and she started coming into Agnes DeMille started coming into the rehearsals after they had some after they'd learned some of the dances, and they were doing a number where the girls had to, and they're all wearing heels. No, she was wearing heels, they weren't. Uh, and they had to do what they called a layout, which I don't know if that's still the same phrase, but, but it meant that you stand on one leg, you flat. One leg is in front of you, and your body is flat, and then you flip over. So, oh, I think it started up. You start with your face down. That's the way it was. You stand there face down with an arm, a hand out there, and a leg there, and one to stand on, and then you do a flip, and you're now going to look at the ceiling, right? And the girls were not. They were afraid, so they sort of were tentative. And finally says, "Oh, for God's sake, okay, go, Sandy." And I played the section, and she, in her high heels, did the flip. And all the girls were so embarrassed. They did it.
Wow.
She was fearless.
That's when you have Agnes DeMille in the room. You don't mess.
She knows how to do it. Yeah.
That's so thrilling. What an amazing moment. So Kate Hepburn, you were saying there was one more?
Yes, there was a girl in the show who, one of the dancers, who married a policeman who was a on our show. I mean, he had to come in he was a policeman, and the police always help us watch out for us during the shows. Did you know that the police check the backstage and make sure that there are no strangers in it and that we're going to be safe?
While you're actually doing the shows?
Yeah, they're there.
Wow. I
For
did
the,
not know that.
and so, and he was one of the cops who came around, and they checked before, and and so they ended up married. And so when it was when it was time for her, I think married, getting married. I can't remember. It was either getting married or having a baby. I can't remember which one it was. But
Okay.
she had a scar on her arm, on her, which makeup covered it up. So on her lip, she had a scar. And Kate said, you have to, no, you have to have that scar fixed." And she said, "It's really not a problem." And she said, "No, here's the name, here's the doctor, here's the time you go." And she paid for her to get the scar removed from her. It was just amazing. She took care of everybody. She told me I had to lose 10 pounds.
Nice.
Oh, okay. You know, yeah, she just took care of everybody. And then she found out that the musicians had something called a cut list. And a cut list means that you open with the show. In this case, I was thinking it was 33 musicians. And after 10 weeks from opening night, um, the 10 musicians are cut, or they're let go. And now we're down to 23 musicians in the pit. And nobody had told her that nobody, thought of it. And somehow somebody mentioned it, said the cut list starts next week. She said, "What's a cut list?" And they explained it to her, and she said, "Wait a minute, are they lowering the prices because people are going to pay this? Are they going to pay the same amount of money to see me with 23 musicians instead of 33 musicians?" And they said, "Well, yeah." She said, "No, audiences don't get cheated by me. They get what they paid. They're going to get what they're promised. They're going to get opening night performance." And so she went to whoever she went to, and gee, everybody stayed for a whole year. Nobody got fired. So we and the musicians we went to Tiffany's and got a cut glass bowl with us with our signatures on them. as a present. We couldn't believe it that anybody stood up for us.
That's so
A
remarkable.
year's job, my dear, full-time job.
Hmm.
She was wonderful.
Yeah. I
Nobody
think
messed with her, and nobody messed with anybody that she knew about. Terrific.
it's incredible because nowadays we hear so many stories of, when someone's a big star or a big celebrity, tearing up hotel rooms and doing damage and pulling diva fits. But we rarely hear stories about stars wielding their power and influence to help people and to do good and to save jobs and all of that wonderful stuff. And I know it happens. I mean, we've been in this community long enough to know that there are stories like that, and that stars can be just the most wonderful, and as you described earlier, that generosity of spirit that is a part of what makes them a star. It's so wonderful to hear stories of that in action, actually happening.
In my experience, that the stars, well, actually, almost everybody is wonderful, and we were all together every day. You know, everybody knows everybody. We know what's happening. We know who's having a baby. We know everything. We know everything about everything. So we're like a family, and it's heartbreaking when a show closes because
Sure.
you'll always love each other, but you won't ever have that thing again.
Yeah, I think we all know that. I think that's a big part of what happened during the pandemic when Broadway shut down for, whatever it is now, 16, 18 months that it'll be.
Don't have them.
Yeah. We were just suddenly separated from our families in so many ways.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Yeah. But coming back, I think it will be partly up to the stars to guide and lead those families back together, which is,
They're good at it.
yeah, I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for this time together. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, talking with the legendary Sandy Campbell. And I hope I can get her to do at least one more, maybe two. We'll see. Okay. Just letting you know.